All right. All right. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to week number one. Super excited to be kicking this off with you guys. I know some of you have been in the pre-training for a couple weeks now. Some of you have joined here in the last week or so, and they've only been a few days, but definitely excited seeing all the interaction that's happening, and very pumped to be kicking off the first session here with you guys, and just some logistics stuff, just so we know what's happening. So this training tonight is going to be primarily coaching. So we'll have, of course, a couple sessions a week. There'll be the coaching session that we'll do each Monday, and then we will have our transformation and our Q&A call on Thursdays. And so the Thursday calls are really going to be a lot more interactive. And that's why I call it a transformation and Q&A call. So we want you really coming there with your questions, and not the shallow questions. I mean, you can ask anything you want, but myself, Trish, Ruth, the other, my two coaches who are on here with me, along with Bryson and our entire team. I mean, we're really committed to one thing, and that's transformation. And so we want to help you in every way we can. And so definitely plan on tuning into that call anytime there are Q&A sessions. That's typically my favorite part of any training that I do, because it's off the cuff. It's not outlined or anything like that. So tonight I've got an outline, a lot of information to cover, and I don't want to keep you here all night or all morning or late night, depending on where you are in the world. So I'm going to try and get through this as fast as I can, but you've got a lot of information. And so I just want to say, thank you for your trust. You definitely made a great decision. I'm going to be giving you 26 years of experience over the next 8 weeks between me, Ruth, and Trisha. Decades and decades and decades of experience. I mean, 50, 60 years experience in network marketing, all $1 million earners. And so we're going to give you everything that we can. And so just want to acknowledge you, because, it took a leap of faith. It took an investment in yourself. And, for me, I feel like we're kindred spirits. To be able to jump out and do something like this and join the inner circle, it took a leap of faith. And it's one of those things that if I look back over my career in network marketing, the thing that I got to the point where I stopped negotiating the price of success, and I was willing to just go all in. I was willing to invest in my most important asset, which was my mind. I always this quote stuck with me many years ago. Ben Franklin said, if you empty your wallet into your mind will fill up your wallet. And there's so many things that I've been through, and literally hundreds of thousands of dollars that I've invested in my education. And so I admire you for being that type of leader. And the fact that you have done that shows me that you are the kind of leader that can make it. And so I'm proud of you. I'm excited for you. And I know in your shoes, it may be a little bit scary as well. You're like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? What am I going to have to go through? And so listen, if you have any point in the journey here, if you feel scared, hey, it's part of the process. I've been there so many times. Bryson and we invested in a $40,000 mastermind. I mean, that took a heck of a leap of faith to put $40,000 into a marketing mastermind. And so I know what it's like. And so I am just so excited for you, and I'm excited about your journey. And so I wanted to kind of recap a handful of things before we kind of get into it. This being our first session, the first thing I want to talk about is just kind of reaffirming the 5 rules that we talked about. And the first one I'm not going to spend a lot of time on, but that is it's a no recruit zone. I mean, this is a community where we support everyone, no matter what company you're in. We have over 20 different network marketing companies represented here in the inner circle. And so our goal, everyone's goal, should be to support everyone in the inner circle. And so that's number one. Number two, and it's a one strike rule and you're out, right? So it is one of those things where this is a trusted space, a very trusted space. And number two, it's trust the process. There's going to be so many different things that we go through. There's going to be exercises that we have you do. And you may, in your mind, you may be like, this is BS, or I don't need to do this. I'm thinking of one specifically here in a couple weeks. It's a process that I had actually heard I didn't do for a couple times, a couple different trainings that I went through, advanced marketing stuff. And I finally did it. And I'll tell you, it's one of the biggest keys to my success in marketing. But I had to finally trust the process. Don't make my mistake and be stubborn and not trust the process. So trust the exercises. Number 3 is do the work, right? I can't help you. We can't help you if you don't actually do the work. And so commit to actually doing it. Number 4 is don't quit. This is true in network marketing. Don't quit network marketing. Don't quit the inner circle. Finish, right? That's one of the things that we know it's easy to quit anything, right? It's why so many people quit. So just don't quit. And if I look at my story in network marketing, what's fascinating is I got started 26 years ago, and there was a handful of people that I met in my first few years. And actually, there was tons of people that I met, right? Worked with in different companies and things like that. And there are 7 that I can count that I knew from back in the day. And literally everyone else has quit except for the 7 that have been around for 20 plus years like I have. And here's what's fascinating is all 7 of us are multimillionaires, all 7. And I can't think of anyone who's still in that I was associated with back then that's not a millionaire that's been involved for 20 years. I had a friend of mine, it took him 17 years to get to a 6-figure income, to get full-time, 17 years. And obviously it shouldn't take you 17 years if you're doing the work and, you're doing the right learning and so forth. But he ended up making millions of dollars. And so here's the thing is just have faith in yourself that you're going to get there. You will get there. And then number 5 is especially true in the inner circle here is support your brothers and sisters. And so we have the inner circle groups created. I am so excited. I know there's been a lot of activity, a lot of stories of you guys getting together. So very, very pumped that you guys have taken that on. And what makes this work much more than just a teaching situation. This is the inner circle because it's a circle of leaders supporting each other. And one person's learnings contribute to other people's learnings. Someone else's ahas give you ahas. And when you share your ahas with your group, and even in the transformation calls on Thursdays, when you share your ahas and you share your learnings, that provides other powerful learnings for other people. So support your brothers and sisters. And so let's talk about why the inner circle exists. Like, why did we put it together? And I'm just going to say right off the bat, I'm not doing this for you. I'm not doing it for you. Okay. I'm doing this for those lives that you're going to impact. So this is not for you. It is for you, but it's more about those that you're going to lead, those that you're going to mentor. And, some of you are already mentoring a lot of people. We've got people in here who are earning 6 figures, people who have huge organizations. We also have people who are not earning any income at all, have not sponsored a single person. Okay. And so just understand, regardless of where you are or how new you are or how little success you may have had thus far, just get that you are going to lead a lot of other people. And what you're learning here, while I'm teaching it for you, I'm teaching it more for other people. And so I want you to use some accelerated learning strategies. And, here's the big one for me. And this made a big shift for me many years ago. And it was learning to teach. Okay. So learn for you, but also learn for others. Okay. Act as if you're going to have to be required to give a training on the information the day after you learn it. So tonight, I'm going to give you a lot of information. I want you to learn tonight as if you will be required to train on it tomorrow. Okay, that's an accelerated learning strategy. That's what's going to make you a powerful trainer within the network marketing profession. It's how I got started as a trainer. I had an organization for the first time. I had an organization that started growing. My upline didn't do a weekly training or anything. And so I just was like, I guess I better do a weekly training. And so I would read books, take notes, just like I did today. In fact, I'm reading Leadership by where is it? James McGregor Burns. And this is exactly how I take notes. I highlight the book, I take notes on it. and it provides a reference for training material for me. Okay. So learn to teach and act as if you're going to be required to give a training on it. And here's what's even better. Actually give a training on it. Like teach someone what I'm teaching you tonight. Do that tomorrow. Okay. Here's the next one is use a journal. Keep a journal with you. Take notes. You may need to watch this training 2 or 3 times to really get it down. See, repetition is the mother of all learning. Repetition is the mother of all learning. Why did I repeat it? Because repetition is the mother of all learning. Okay. Here's the final thing on accelerated learning is adopt a fascination with learning. Okay. It's easy to have it become just commonplace, or it's like a chore to learn. And I'll tell you, as I started a new book yesterday, as I start the book, what I consciously do is I just have a fascination. Like I'm fascinated with what I'm going to learn in this book. When I go to seminars, I'm telling myself I'm fascinated with what I'm learning. And that gets me passionate about learning, and it'll get you more passionate about learning and actually absorbing the information that you'll learn here in the inner circle. And so here's the thing is getting into maybe a little bit of training here. And this is really another reason why the inner circle exists is because there's a duplication myth in network marketing. Okay. The duplication myth is what I believed in when I got started. Like I went to my first presentation and they had a whiteboard and they drew 6 and then 4 and then 2. And then I saw another example where if you get 5 and they get 5 and they get 5 and they get 5, you have, this 1,000 people in your group and you're financially free. And in 26 years, over 20 years of building at the highest levels, literally 2.5 million people in my organizations, it's never grown like that. Never in the history of network marketing has it grown where 2 get 2 who get 2 who get 2. So the duplication, the way a lot of people think about it when they get started in network marketing, is a complete myth. It doesn't exist. Real duplication is duplication of leadership. Okay, this is about you becoming a higher level leader so that you can grow other leaders. The business of network marketing, I learned this at a advanced event over 20 years ago. And it was a simple concept, but it struck home with me. Our job is to teach teachers, to teach teachers, to teach teachers, to teach. Okay. And if you don't know what to teach, it's very hard to build leadership. And so what we're giving you here in the inner circle is a lot of, frameworks and strategies that you can actually teach. Okay. So these are frameworks. They're real strategies that once you learn and once you, write it down, the weakest ink is stronger than the strongest memory. Okay. Once you get it, you've got it and you have it forever. There's things, because I've used these accelerated learning strategies for over 20 years, I've been using these. I can go back and I've got dozens of these journals. I've got probably 20 of these journals. And if I need to give a training, I can go read through my notes from these 20 different journals over the last 20 years. And there's no limit to the amount of training that I can give. And so people will, over the years, have looked at me like, oh my God, Matt, how are you such an amazing trainer? And the truth is, I've just used these strategies and I've learned some frameworks that I can teach for the rest of my career. And so I'm excited about giving you these frameworks over the next 8 weeks. And so these are major tangible takeaways. So that you don't end up being the kind of leader who says, just show more people. Like, have you ever, you come to a mentor, you come to your upline and you're like, I can't seem to make it work. I'm talking to people or maybe you've hit a plateau in your business and your upline says, show more people. Like, that's not the answer. Like, obviously you need to show more people. That never ends. You have to show more people. So this is not me saying, be lazy. It's not me saying, don't show more people. Yes, go show more people. But if you are a leader and you've plateaued, the reason why you've plateaued is not because you haven't shown enough people. Okay. So would it be cool? Let me just ask you, wouldn't it be cool if you actually had a plan for yourself and for those that you mentor when you hit a brick wall, when you plateau, when you just can't seem to make things work? Okay. These are the frameworks that have allowed me to earn over $20 million, produce thousands full-time leaders. In fact, I looked at my organization at one point, 23,000 people had hit about a $2,000 a month rank. Okay. So this stuff works. Now, don't take this training lightly. The worst thing you could possibly do is treat this like you only invested a few $1,000s. Treat it as if you invested $150,000 for a college education. And if you treat this inner circle training as if you invested $150,000, you're going to get way more out of it. Now, here's another reason why the inner circle exists, because there's a 90% failure rate in network marketing. I mean, typically from year to year, there's 90% quit, 80 to 90% quit. Okay. And so here's what happens is when you get real training with real frameworks and like real mindset strategies, it radically changes the odds for those who commit to the process. And so if you do the work, then you'll be able to beat the odds. If you don't do the work, you won't be able to beat the odds. Okay. That's why one of the ground rules was do the work. And so I want to talk about the first framework. And this is something that you've already heard me go through. And it's the 3 strategic pillars to success in network marketing. Okay. And so what are the 3 strategic pillars? And I'm going to use the my trusty little digital whiteboard here. I've used it a handful of times. It's fairly new. So hopefully this will work well for us. And so what are the 3 pillars? Okay. Okay. So first pillar, you have your inner game. Okay. Second strategic pillar is your external skills. Let me see if I can change this a little bit. And then the third strategic pillar, hopefully the microphone is still with me, is your leadership. Okay. Okay, if you don't have all 3 of these pillars dialed in, it is going to be near impossible for you to ever get to the level of success that you truly desire. And so the first thing is the inner game. Now, tonight, week number 1 is all about the inner game. I know some of you signed up, like I read every answer that you guys put in. And a lot of you joined the inner circle because you want the social media recruiting strategies, and we're going to give you the social media recruiting strategies. This is going to be super, super advanced. It is a lot of information. I cannot wait. Tomorrow, we're going to get into that. But here's the deal. If it's only strategies, if that's all it is, it's not going to work, because if you don't have the inner game dialed in, you're never going to be able to lead anyone else. So before you can achieve the goals that you so badly desire for yourself, you have to rewire your self-image and what you currently believe is possible or not possible for yourself. So the truth of the matter is your mental programming and what you think about yourself is the determining factor for how successful you're going to become. It's all inner game. Okay. And not understanding the fact that there's the inner game, the external skills, and the leadership, and all of that combined. If you're not focused on that, you're essentially an opportunity seeker. And it's another reason why I created the inner circle, is because I am so tired of the online gurus preaching like you just need the TikTok strategy. You're one funnel away. You're one thing away from massive success. And the reality is you're not one thing away. You need to have a strategic plan. And this is about becoming a real entrepreneur. And so week 1, all about the inner game, because nothing else matters if you don't get this right. So abundance in the outer world. How do you create abundance in the outer world? Not just financially, but in all areas of life. So abundance in the outer world is a reflection of abundance in your inner world. Okay. Scarcity in your outer world, in every area of life, is a reflection of scarcity in your inner world. So you've got to get the inner world dialed in. And it's one of those, it's almost an unconscious competence type thing where you get to the point where your inner world is so dialed in, the tactics almost don't matter. Like they matter, but you can do a bunch of different tactics and it will work for you because you have your inner game dialed in, and that's transmitting to other people. Okay. And I'll give you a great example. I had a friend of mine, and came into the company, rocketed to the top. And he actually joined the company before I did. And everyone was like, what is it? Like, hit the record, like fastest person ever to hit the top rank in this company. And everyone wanted to know his secrets. And people would actually fly to his city to learn like what he's doing. And no one could duplicate his success. People like modeled it exactly. They did the meetings the same way. They recorded his presentation. They like said the exact same in their presentation. They stayed for his fast start training. They said the exact same thing, and no one could duplicate his success. And when I came into the company, he had actually created this playbook, and it was like, I forget, 30 pages of all his information. Like, this is what you say. And like, I was already $1 million earner when I joined this company, already a trainer, like speaking on generic events and so forth. And so I read through his playbook and I'm like, this is not good stuff. This is not great stuff. I mean, it's things that like almost every leader in network marketing tells you not to say, and he has it in his playbook. And here's what I got when I finally, like, I got to know him. And when I got to know him, it was super obvious. Like, I got it in a second. It was his inner game was so dialed in. He showed up with so much posture, so much confidence, so much certainty, so much faith. It wasn't about the tactics. It was about who he was. So the inner circle, and especially tonight, is about getting your inner game super dialed in. And there's going to be a process over the next several weeks, like specific frameworks, specific strategies that I'm going to give you that if you do, they are going to transform your inner world. And here's the reality. You're never going to see someone living a 7-figure lifestyle, making 7 figures with a 5-figure mindset. It doesn't exist. Now, if you have a 7-figure mindset and you're only earning 5 figures a year, that's okay, because it's only a matter of time before your income catches up with your mindset. And, you know, it's one of those things that I figured it out. And unfortunately, I've had to join a handful of different network marketing companies in addition to my other companies over the years. And I've always been able to build it back. And every time I had a failure or a company went out of business, whatever it was, I always rebounded and made way more money after that. And in fact, I wrote in my book, The Unemployed Millionaire, actually said in there that with the mindset strategies that I've developed, I could lose it all and gain it all back. And I wrote that before I went $750,000 in debt and lost everything. And I forgot that I wrote that in the book. And I had a friend of mine who said, you know, years and years later, after I become the top money earner in the company I was in, and had made millions of dollars, she said, you know what, I remember reading your book and you said that, and you actually lived out exactly what you said. And so here's the thing, is once you get this dialed in and you have it forever, you'll never have scarcity when it comes to money, because you will know that you can always build it back. And unfortunately, I've had that happen several times, but because I know this information that I'm teaching you, like I know the back of my hand, I'll never not have money. Wouldn't it be cool to have a level of confidence to know that you'll never not be wealthy? That's what I want you guys to have. And so one of the things that, you know, I talked about was the leadership effectiveness formula. Okay. And so we talked about like what level you are in each of the 3 areas and developing a score. So on a scale of 1 to 10, when it comes to inner game, where are you at? 1 to 10, where are you at? Okay. When it comes to skills, being able to generate leads, invite, present, close, answer objections, you know, leadership strategies, all that, like where are you at? On a scale of 1 to 10, promoting events, training. When it comes to leadership, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at? And you multiply the 3. So your inner game number times your external skills number times your leadership number, that equals your leadership effectiveness score, basically. And so this is, if you remember the slide that I presented and the live broadcast that I did, you know, 0 to 50, you're incapable of leading any size team. 51 to 200, you're capable of leading small teams, which is not a full-time income. 200 to 300 as a score, you're capable of leading medium-sized teams. That's kind of like right at maybe a full-time income. 300 to 500, you're capable of leading large teams, and then over 500, which would be if you are say an 8, an 8, and an 8, that's about a little over 500. You're a world-class leader, right? You're highly sought after, right? People want to know like how you've done what you've done from all over the world. Like you are a household name within your network marketing company. If you can get on average an 8, an 8, and an 8. Now, most people come into network marketing and their inner game, they're a 0 or a 1 or a 2. Their skills are a 0 or a 1 because they've never done network marketing before. And their leadership, they've never actually led a team before. So they're a 0 or a 1. So most people come in and their score is so low, they expected it to be easy. They're opportunity seekers. So they're like, oh, I'm just going to jump in. It's going to be easy. It doesn't work out and they quit. And because I don't see anyone teaching this, and I don't see anyone teaching like a real plan, we have a failure rate that is way too high. So this is about changing things. And what we're leading you through is something that we call psychological fuel stacking. And I'm going to have you create essentially a personal manifesto. And this is something that I've not shared a lot. I've shared it with a handful of people, and one person in particular, like a very small handful of people that I've actually showed the entire manifesto to. And she implemented it, started using it, and she said it's been the #1 thing that has transformed her life was this personal manifesto. And when we talk about psychological fuel stacking, like what do we mean by that? And so fuel stacking, it's kind of like mental stacking, like an athlete. An athlete has, in order to produce at the highest level, succeed at the highest level, they've got to have a lot of things like really dialed in. They've got to have their nutrition dialed in. They've got to have their sleep dialed in. They've got to have their hydration dialed in. They've got to have their workout routines dialed in. They've got to have their visualization dialed in. And so there's all these things that stack together that create success. And so we're going to be giving you stacks of things that create success. And listen, I know in network marketing, like a lot of you have a lot going on. I know it can be hard. So there's stress, there's anxiety, there's overwhelm. Some of you are juggling, jobs and careers and kids, and you're dealing with your organization. It can be an emotional roller coaster. Like, I get it. And if you don't have a strategy to keep yourself sane throughout this process, you end up letting important things go. And I don't want you in a position where you're letting important things go, like your network marketing career. I want you winning. Okay. So this is about you accessing power. And again, I've said it before, but when I say power, I'm not talking about a dictatorial control over anyone else. I'm talking about personal power. I'm talking about being able to really control your life, not just in network marketing. Like, you join the inner circle to have power in network marketing, to control your circumstances in network marketing. But I'm going to show you throughout the process how to control every aspect of your life. And here's what I want you to get. And this is one of the most important lessons that you need to get and you need to teach. And if you're not teaching this, you're not going to have as much success as you should. And it's this: where you are in life, your current situation, it is all you're doing. You built yourself and you built your life, and it's you who are solely responsible for where you are right now and for what you get in the future. So there's no external force. There's no person. There's no thing against you. It's all you. What I'm talking about is 100% responsibility. Nothing in this coaching program is going to work without you taking absolute and total ownership of your results, the results that you have right now. So if you are where you are right now and you've been hanging on to something like, my upline's not good enough, or my products, or the company website, whatever it is, understand that as long as you have any ounce of the blame game happening, that equals powerlessness. You're powerless as long as you blame any other factor. So responsibility in life comes from one thing, or power comes from one thing, and that's responsibility. So I want you to write something down. Oh, it's just a simple question. Where have you been giving away your power? Where have I been giving away my power? I just want you to write it down. Where have I been giving away my power? By not taking 100% responsibility. So it might be something like people aren't motivated. My team's not motivated. People are skeptical. No matter where I go around the world, any country I go to, people are saying things like, oh, people in Singapore are skeptical. People in Africa are skeptical. People in Europe are skeptical. People in America are skeptical. People in Canada are skeptical. Listen, you're going to find skeptical people anywhere. But if you're blaming the fact that people are skeptical for your lack of success in network marketing, you're powerless. You'll always be weak as long as there's a shift of blame. And again, I'm teaching this not just for you, I'm teaching this for those that you mentor, those that you lead. Things like my team doesn't duplicate, an unsupportive upline, no upline system, or maybe it's blaming it on something personal, like I just don't have the same motivation as other people, as if like some people are born with lots of motivation and some people aren't. Motivation, discipline is desire is a discipline. Like you've got to be disciplined in harnessing your desire. You got to take responsibility for your internal state, responsibility for your emotional state. And if you can take responsibility and have control over that, congratulations, you have power. It might be like I said for a long time, I'm not a salesperson. I'm too young. It might be I'm too old. There's not enough time in the day. Like it's one of the big things. There's not enough time in the day, as if like some people, the millionaires, are given more time than other people are. No, we all have the same amount of time. But as long as you're blaming something else, you're powerless. So where have you been giving away your power? And we're going to continue, but I asked you to write that down because I think that's something you should spend some time on. Okay. And here's the thing is, as you start to make shifts, as you start to say, you know what, I'm going to take control. I'm going to take responsibility for everything that happens. And listen, I had, as an example, my company went out of business. I had $500,000 worth of fraud. And it wasn't something I did, like, it wasn't something I did. No one would have said it's your fault that your company got hit with $500,000 worth of fraud. And when I went $750,000 in debt, it was the most difficult time of my life, more difficult than my father died. I mean, I was a wreck. Like, I am not proud of this. I don't drink very much anymore. When I was younger, I would drink here and there. Like today, I don't think I've been drunk in 2 or 3 years. Right. But, I got to the point where I couldn't leave my house. Like I would drink 2 double vodkas just before I'd leave my house to go do meetings, because I couldn't deal with it. For the first time in my life, I had anxiety. I didn't even understand what anxiety was. I didn't know that was a thing. I was like, well, I don't understand. People say I have anxiety. What is this? And it was crippling. For the first time in my life, it was absolutely crippling. Like I wanted to get on antidepressants. It was a very hard time. I couldn't sleep. I lost 15 pounds and I wasn't a big guy anyway. I was just like, couldn't eat. My stomach is tied in knots all day long. Staying up like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I remember just staring at a blank wall going, man, how did I get myself into this? Do I really have what it takes to, continue forward? And here's the thing. It would have been easy to shift blame and say, oh, poor, pitiful me. But the reality is, if I didn't take responsibility for going $750,000 in debt, I'd be powerless to have it as far as that happening again. So I had to take personal responsibility. I could have chosen not to do business in the country that we were, doing business in. And so here's the thing, whatever the issue is, if power comes from responsibility, take 100% responsibility. Most people will never do it. The most easy game in the world to play is the blame game. It's so much easier to blame someone, something else, or your nature. Like, oh, it's just my nature not to be a salesperson, or my nature not to be motivating to other people. It's total BS. Well, we can talk about being motivated. Oh, I don't have charisma. BS. You absolutely have charisma if you'll do what charismatic people do. Okay. So Where have you been holding back your power? Where have you been giving away your power? And so here's what happens. You decide, all right, I'm going to take responsibility and I'm going to go for it. I'm going to learn and I'm going to start applying these skills. And I'm going to show you the success curve. And it's important for you to know this, but it's also important for you to teach this because this needs to be taught. Okay. And if you're looking at money versus time, and you have a chart here, the success curve looks a lot like this. In the beginning in network marketing, in the beginning of a lot of things, any business, in the beginning of working out, you decide, hey, I'm not in great shape. I want to become an athlete. I want to really get in shape. What happens is for a period of time, it doesn't seem to matter. It just doesn't seem to matter. I'm working, I'm making calls, I'm doing Facebook posts, I'm doing live videos, and it doesn't seem to be working. This is how life works, is it doesn't seem to matter. See, success in life is all about a few simple disciplines practiced every day. I'm going to give you, for instance, we've already given you a couple of daily power rituals. One of those is personal development every day. Okay, reading 10 pages of a book every day, just 10 pages. It's not much. But what happens is it doesn't seem to matter. Oh, I'm not a millionaire yet. I've been reading 10 pages a day for a month and I'm not a millionaire yet. That's how success works. It doesn't seem to matter. Same with working out. Same with many, many things. Same with eating healthy. I've been eating healthy for 3 weeks. I haven't lost much weight. Doesn't seem to matter. That's how success works. See, in the beginning of network marketing, we are grossly underpaid for the work that we do. We are underpaid for the work that we do. And if you'll stick it out long enough, you'll get to the point where you're grossly overpaid for the number of hours that you put in. If I look at the number of hours that I put in compared to the money that I make, I am overpaid. It's crazy. But I had to be willing to go through the phase where it doesn't seem to matter. Okay, so this is the success curve. This is something that you need to get. It's something that you need to teach. Now, there's also the frustration curve. So within this section here, it doesn't really look like a straight line. It looks more like this. Okay, always up and down, always up and down. It's like the stock market. No stock in the history of the stock market has ever gone straight up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Look at Apple, look at Microsoft, look at, you name it, Amazon, you name it, up and down, up and down, up and down. So, but what happens is we don't you have some people join your team, they quit. People join your team, they quit. I build it up, it crashes. I build it up, it crashes. And while it doesn't look like much, if you zoom it in, it feels like a big valley. I had 3 people quit my team this week. I'm going to tell you something. I've had well over 1 million people quit my team. In fact, I've had 2 million people quit my team. 2 million. Your goal should be to have 1 million people quit your team, because that's just the reality. Not everyone is going to stay. And so we all go through this, what I call, and this is one of the biggest lessons that I've taught my leaders over the years, is the valley of death. This is something every leader goes through, is the valley of death. Okay? And if you don't teach the valley of death, people don't understand that they're going to go through it and they quit. So understand that you can always get out of the valley if you just keep walking. If you just keep going, you'll always get out of the valley, but you got to keep going. What happens is people start going through the valley and then they quit. So this is a concept that needs to be taught, is the valley of death. Now I'm going to give you a strategy as you start developing as a leader, and I'm going to go through later in the inner circle. I'm going to go through the 5 levels of leadership, and we're going to dive a little bit more into this. But When you have someone who starts, when you have what I call a star is someone who comes up, maybe you call them an eagle. This is someone who comes in and they put some people into the business. They go create some sales. They go sponsor some people. They start building a team. You need to immediately start building a relationship with that person. If they're 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 levels down, immediately build a relationship with them. Because what keeps them from quitting when they go through the valley of death is always a relationship. Okay. And if there hasn't been a relationship established, they don't understand the valley of death, they don't understand this is how business works, then they just quit. There's been so many people over the years that I've kept in my business because I developed a relationship. There's also been so many people that I've lost that I shouldn't have lost because I didn't build a relationship. Okay. So what I want to talk about next is like, what are the things that keep you going? What are the things that accelerates every framework that we're going to talk about is the success path framework. So write down success path framework. And this is going to give you some insights as to maybe why you are the way you are. And this is all about how you create the lifestyle that you want. How do you create your destiny? And you know, you could call that your success, okay? So where does success come from is the big question. So success comes from doing the right actions consistently, okay? So success comes from actions, okay? And so we know that. You're like, Matt, you're not telling me anything new here, okay? Success comes from actions. We know that. And so if you don't go deeper with this, like what most network marketers are doing and what most people are doing in general, what most entrepreneurs are doing is they set goals. So they're like, all right, I'm going to set goals and these are the actions that I need to take for my goals. And you don't take the actions. So you beat yourself up, you don't hit your goals and you reset your goals and you reset your action plan for the goal. You don't do it. You beat yourself up. And then you reset your goals again. You figure out what actions you need to do. You don't hit your goal. You beat yourself up because you didn't do the actions. And it's this cycle that continues. And this is what I did for years. No one taught me this. I finally read a book called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. And I did an incredibly deep dive into human psychology. I'm one of the biggest nerds there ever has been in network marketing when it comes to like why we do the things that we do and how to get yourself motivated to do the things that you know you need to do. So where do actions come from? Actions come from feelings. So things like motivation. So if you're motivated to do something, you're more likely to do it. If you're confident, you're more likely to take the action. If you have a level of certainty, you'll take more action. If you have faith, you'll take more action. If you have a compelling vision, you'll take, which produces a great feeling. If you have a core purpose that guides you, you're going to have a better feeling and take more action. Most people, they don't go any deeper than actions. They just beat themselves up for not doing the actions, but they don't go deep enough to figure out how to get the right feelings. So the question is, where do feelings come from? Feelings come from thoughts and beliefs. So feelings come from thoughts and beliefs. And what you believe about yourself is essentially your identity. And I'll tell you, you know, my identity for the longest time was broke, young, you know, hard worker, but just broke, not very smart, all these things. Like I had a very broken level of belief. So what's interesting is your thoughts and your beliefs, like your beliefs create your thoughts and your thoughts create your beliefs. Okay. And if you don't have awareness over this, you're not going to have control over your mind. And we are the only species that we're aware of that can think about what you think about. Like we can think about what we think about. Dogs and cats, they're not thinking about what we think about. And so it's important for you to start thinking about what you're thinking about consistently. And if you're not doing that, you'll have a lack of power and you'll always have a lack of power. And so your belief about who you are. And, simple things like here's a big one is, I don't know what the rank is for the highest level in your company. Maybe it's diamond, right? It's common in network marketing is to hit diamond. That's a high level. And if in your mind, you're consistently thinking, I don't know how to hit diamond. If that's a thought that you're consistently thinking, it's going to lead to a feeling of a lack of certainty and a lack of belief. And you're way less likely to actually take any action. And I'm just telling you, it does you no good. It serves you not at all to be thinking of something like, I don't know how to hit diamond. I don't know how to make $100,000 a year. I don't know how to break through the plateau that I'm in. I know based on some of the responses, some of you are in a space where you're like, I don't know how to break through the plateau that I'm in. And as long as you're consciously thinking that, you won't break through. So after tonight, after the next few weeks, you'll know exactly how to break through. And what I'm telling you is it's all about you becoming the right person. Now, where do beliefs come from? I'm going to jump around here for a little bit. Where do your beliefs come from? Your beliefs come from your programming. Okay, now there are 3 ways that we're programmed. There are your experiences, there's your external programming, and there is your internal programming. So, like most people look at success and it's like, all right, I want to have success, and they go into actions, and then maybe they go into feelings or beliefs, but they don't get into programming. They don't go into like, how do I literally rewire my brain, rewire my belief so that I can create the success that I desire for myself? And I'll just tell you, there is here, like people want to know, like, what's the secret to being self-motivated? So understand that your belief is what's called your identity. Okay. And your identity, there's a thing called the law of consistency and commitment. You want to write this down. The law of consistency and commitment says that you will be committed to remaining consistent with who you believe you are. And who you believe you are is your identity. Your belief system has created your identity. Okay. So here's what's important. It is like, how do I get self-motivated? Natural self-motivation. Write this down. Natural self-motivation exists when there's a contrast between your current results and what your identity is. Your identity is who you really believe you are. So for 5 years, I really believed that I was not very smart, that I was too young, that I didn't have enough credibility, that I was a bad communicator, I was deathly afraid of public speaking, all of these things. And so what happened is I suffered from a lack of this. Like I felt like I had to charge myself up. I had to listen to motivational music, or I had to like do all these things to get myself pumped up. I didn't have this like natural like urge to go succeed. Well, it's because there was no like contrast between my identity and my results. So if your results are lower than your identity, natural motivation kicks in. Now, what happens is sometimes people go beyond their identity. Like maybe they get a leader in their organization, or they just have like sheer hard work and maybe some charisma, and they start making $100,000 a year, but it's not in line with their identity. They self-sabotage every single time. Now, I've seen this so many times over the years. Like some of you are like, this is beyond where I'm at. But I want to teach it to you now so you don't sabotage yourself like I've seen so many leaders sabotage themselves, where they never work on who they are. Like they're not doing personal development. They're not working on their identity at all. They start making $100,000. They start partying all the time. They sabotage their groups, and they're broke again. Or it might be a situation where they start making a lot of money. They start spending even more than they're making. They're making more money than they've ever made, but they get even more in debt. It's because they have a misaligned identity. They're making way more. And the law of consistency and commitment kicks in. Again, you'll be committed to remaining consistent with who you genuinely believe you are, with exactly who your identity is. And see, there's two goals. You're going to have always two goals. There's a conscious goal and a subconscious goal, right? And so all the scientists say we've got like two minds, okay? We have a conscious mind and we have a subconscious mind, okay? And all the scientists say that the subconscious mind is infinitely more powerful than the conscious mind. It's way more powerful because your subconscious mind is like the makeup of all the experiences, all the programming that you've ever had to create your identity. That is your subconscious is in line with your identity. So you create a conscious goal to make $1 million a year, but your identity is like BS. You're a $40,000 a year kind of person. You've never made more than $40,000. No one in your family's made more than $40,000. You don't have a college education, whatever it is. All the programming has created this identity, which has programmed your subconscious mind. And so you have a conscious goal of making a lot of money, but your subconscious goal is to keep you in line with your identity. So guess which goal wins? The subconscious mind, the subconscious goal always wins because it's way more powerful than the conscious mind. So we got to understand how we're programmed. Okay, so experiences, things that have happened to us, your internal programming. So what you say and what you think about yourself, and then your external programming is what other people have said about us. And so think about how you've been programmed. And I just have to say, like, our experience of reality, our feelings that we create, the feelings that we create are a result of our thoughts and our beliefs. It's not like the feelings just pop in for no reason. The feelings pop in because of our thoughts and because of our beliefs. So our experience of reality is the result of our beliefs and our thoughts. So I want you to consider that nothing is good or bad until we make it so. We are going to feel, just consider that you will feel happiness, peace, and joy, or you will feel stress, anxiety, and overwhelm solely based on the beliefs and thoughts that you produce based on an experience. You define the meaning of all circumstances, which means you control the feelings that you experience. So if you want better feelings, have better thoughts. So here's what I'm getting at. When an experience happens, it's a level of programming. So something happens. You fail in business. You've struggled in network marketing for the last 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is. You suck. Like I sucked. That's what you've been telling yourself is I suck in network marketing, right? And I haven't sponsored anyone. I've lost money, or I've sponsored a handful and they all quit. So you have an experience. Now you create a thought or a belief based on that experience. So what do you choose to think about when you have a negative experience? Oh, maybe I'm not cut out for network marketing. Creates a feeling of hopelessness. So understand that every experience we create a story. We are meaning-making machines, and we're constantly creating stories based on experiences that happen. Someone says something about you, and you're like, you get all pissed off, or you feel down. And I'll tell you mine. I mean, my story, like, some of you know my story, some of you don't. Like when I was about 4 years old, my parents divorced. My mom fell in love with someone else. My father picked me up to have the weekend with him. And he dropped me off at my grandparents. He said, I can't, I've got to work this weekend. So he drops me off. And he drove over to my mother's house where her boyfriend was, and he murdered my mom's boyfriend. So my father went to prison for murder. And my mom had owned a restaurant. sold it. The people went out of business. So she got like 3 months payment. They went out of business. She never got any money for it. She couldn't redo it, decided to go to school, finish college. So moved into a trailer park. We're on food stamps. I was a kid with a free lunch pass in school. We used my grandparents' address so I could go to a somewhat decent school. I was the only kid with the free lunch pass. Kids were like, "What's that pass?" I'm like, "Oh, it's prepaid." Never had nice clothes. My father got out of prison. When he got out, he was like a complete alcoholic. There were periods where I didn't know where he lived. For almost 2 years, a year and a half, I didn't know where my father lived. Like he's avoiding paying child support. My birthday comes and goes. My father doesn't call me for it. Like that was hard to take as a kid. And so when I was 13 years old, my father and I kind of like reconnected. I went and saw him. And a few months later, he committed suicide. And so, listen, there were some crazy experiences that happened in my childhood. Now, I know you've probably had mine are not as terrible as like many of you watching me have probably had way crazier things happen. But there were crazy, I'll give you some examples of how we wire ourselves based on the meaning that we create based on experiences. So my father, I'm with him. I have a book report that I need to do. He takes me to the library. Drops me off at the library. He says, "Call me when you're done. I'll pick you up." So I do my book report. I call him back when we had pay phones. He doesn't answer. I wait. I call again. He doesn't answer. This is back when you put the quarter in. And if they didn't answer, you got your quarter back. And so I put the quarter in, doesn't answer. The library closes. I remember the person coming to lock the door says, "Hey, is someone coming to pick you up?" I said, "Yeah, my dad's on the way," because I was embarrassed. And so the phone booth is inside. I can't call him anymore. And it's raining outside. And we live a couple miles. So I run home in the rain. I go in the house and dad's passed out on the couch. And I just remember going to my room thinking, my father doesn't love me. And what that translates to is I'm not lovable. So I carried that with me for a lot of years. Until I learned this stuff, I carried it with me. Some of you are holding on to some bullshit that you need to let go. Some of you are holding on to an identity about yourself that you've created that is absolutely not true. When I understood that I actually have the power to create whatever meaning I want based on any experience that happens, I get to invent it. Then I got to change it from me not being lovable to a new reality that because my father left me at the library and I had to find my way home in the rain, that made me very independent. It taught me how to take care of myself. Thank you for that lesson, Dad. Thank you for that lesson. It wasn't that he didn't love me, it's that he was an alcoholic and he was passed out drunk. Now, when I was 13, he committed suicide. And I just remember thinking I wasn't good enough. I wasn't a good enough son. He didn't love me enough to stay with me. He left me. He abandoned me. Now, was that true? Was it true that I'm not good enough? Not at all. It's just what I made up and what I held on to for years. So the question is, what have you been holding on to for years? Based on an experience that happened, you create a meaning about it, and that becomes your identity. So I decide I get to create a new reality. What does it mean that my father committed suicide? It means that he suffered from crazy levels of depression. He literally couldn't make it on his own. I'm sure he probably thought I'd be better off without him. So me not being good enough is total bullshit. There's no truth to that other than the fact that I made it up as a 13-year-old boy. Now, it was, I believe, 6th grade. Funny experience. In my room growing up, I had an eye chart as a calendar. It was a calendar that had the eye chart. And if you look at just about any eye chart, the 2020 line, it's DEFPOTEC. DEFPOTEC, I've had it memorized since I was like 9 years old because I had this calendar in my room with an eye chart. And so when I would go get my eyes checked, DEFPOTEC, go look. Almost every eye chart still to this day. Crazy. I don't know why. Like, why don't they change it? Why is almost everyone the same? So like I had really bad vision. I finally got LASIK when I was in my 20s. I had 2420 vision, legally blind. Okay. So in school, I couldn't see the whiteboard. And the teacher would ask questions and I wouldn't have the answer. Like the teaching that she would do on the whiteboard, I didn't get it. And so I made really bad grades. And it wasn't until like I went 2 or 3 years without finally figuring out I got bad vision. And so the experience was bad grades. And I created a meaning that I'm stupid. Like I'm just not as smart as all the other kids. And I held like, even though I knew, like when I finally got my vision, it was like, oh, I just couldn't see back then, but I still held on to not being as smart as all the other kids because I didn't make good grades. And so when I finally understood this stuff, when I get to invent my own identity based on my own programming, which you can't control in many cases, the experience that you've had, you can't control sometimes the external programming, but you can absolutely control the internal program. What you say and what you think about yourself, you have total control over. So I start affirming, reprogramming myself that I'm an absolute genius, that I am one of the most intelligent men in the world. And it's an affirmation, if you will, that I've been saying for years and years and years. And I even have like not personal proof, like I'm not out telling other people I'm a genius. But if you look at the definition of intelligence, it's not your IQ. The definition of intelligence is your capacity to learn. And this is a big lesson. I want you to get this. Intelligence is your capacity to learn. Some of you have been holding on to a mistaken belief that you're not incredibly smart, not incredibly intelligent. And the reality is intelligence is your capacity to learn. It's not what you were born with, it's your capacity. And your mind works a lot like a muscle. The more you work it, the better it gets. Why do I read all the time, all the time, all the time? I'm constantly learning. And the more I learn, the more I increase my capacity to learn. It's like with weightlifting, the more you lift, the more capacity. Your mind works a lot like that. The neurons fire, it creates more and more and more and more and more connections. And so there's no reason why you should not be telling yourself you're an incredible genius. Highly intelligent. Well, like you create it by learning and increasing the capacity. I'll tell you another one. When it relates to external programming, some of you have had some external bullshit that you've been holding on to for a long time. And I'm telling you a quick one. I was in 6th grade and I come home from a race. We had a 1-mile race. There were about 80 kids. And I was never like a great athlete or anything. I wasn't a bad athlete. I wasn't great. I was just average. And I would finish in the half of the pack typically, right? And so I just decided for whatever reason, it was 6 miles around this little track. And I just decided like, I'm going to try and win it. And I ran as hard as I possibly could. And I finished in 2nd place. And the only kid who finished me was like the best athlete in the school. And I came home from school that day, super excited to tell my mom. I go, Mom, we ran a 1-mile race and I finished in 2nd. And the only kid who beat me was Johnny. And he's like the best athlete in school. And my mom was like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. That's awesome, honey. Because our family, we're not good runners at all. And I immediately decided that since our family aren't good runners, I wasn't a good runner. It must have been a fluke. So even though the experience actually proved that I was a good runner, my external programming chose me to create an identity that I'm not a good runner. Experience proved otherwise. So don't discount the dangers and the power of external programming. So if you go back to your childhood, what are some things that led you to creating the beliefs and the identity that you're still holding on to? Like I still have, like, because I'm aware of this and I teach it, I still have things come up. There's a lot of things that if you go back and think about the different ways that you've been programmed and how it's created an identity that doesn't serve you anymore. And if you don't have an identity that serves you anymore, it's time to create a new one. See, something that I believe for the longest time, and a reason why it took me 5 years to get to a full-time income, I genuinely believe that money was very hard to come by. I mean, raised in a trailer park, on welfare, whole 9 yards, no nice clothes, all those things. I watched my mom work 2 jobs to work her way through college. She worked her way through law school. She graduated, by the way, she became an attorney. She became a judge. She actually retired as a judge. She's my absolute hero. One of the reasons why I pursued my dreams is because I saw my mother pursue hers. She didn't give up on hers. And so I've never given up on mine. Right. So she's absolutely my hero. Okay. So don't think that one story was like me, dissing on my mom, not at all. Like, it was totally innocent on her part. So here's what happened though, is when I got to high school, she finished law school, she got a job as an attorney, and it was like a very low paying job. And she still worked a part-time job at Estee Lauder at the mall. So she worked all these years to work her way through college, go through law school. Law school's tough, right? College is hard enough. Law school is really hard, and finally gets this job as an attorney, and we're still broke. So that was my belief, was that money's hard to come by. There's not a lot of money out there. Like, I wasn't raised with a bunch of wealthy people. I didn't see millionaires ever out there. So I just believed it was hard to come by. There was I thought a millionaire was very few, there's not many out there. And so when I finally realized I get to create a new reality, my new belief became money is very easy to come by. And I'll give you empirical evidence. According to Credit Suisse, their global wealth report, in 2021, there are 56.1 million millionaires, 56.1 million millionaires. So proof that money is very easy to come by. There's lots of wealth in the network marketing profession. There's lots of amazing leaders in the network marketing profession. So what are the beliefs that have been holding you back, that have created an identity that no longer serves you? What bullshit beliefs have been holding you back? And it might be that I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I'm a bad communicator, I'm too shy, I'm afraid of rejection, I'm not a leader, I'm too young, I'm not motivational. I just listed all those because those were mine. Those were all the things that I believed were true about me. And so it created an identity of constant struggle. Constant struggle. And this thing about I'm not motivational. Someone taught me years ago, and it's true to a degree, but it's amateurs sell, professionals sort. So I thought, oh, it's just pure sorting. I don't have to be a good, I don't have to inspire people. I just have to sort numbers. And listen, you do need to do the numbers, but you also need to be motivational. And it was I'm not that way. Well, I didn't smile. I was very logical. I didn't show my emotion. So here's the reality is even if you are not a bouncing off the wall kind of personality, if you'll actually show your passion, if you'll actually bring some fire that you don't normally bring, if you are normally more reserved, you'll be even more motivated than the people who normally are bouncing off the walls all the time. Because people are wow, something's gotten into them. This really must be good. So the reality is, if you want to be motivational, be excited. You are an amazing motivator. You are an incredible leader if you'll do the things that inspirational people do, that motivational people do, that great leaders do. It's as simple as doing the things. So this bullshit belief that you have about yourself that you're not whatever it is that you need to be, it's crap. You've believed that because you've created stories based on experiences that you've had, and the story is bullshit. So create a new story. So the first thing here is what I want you to get is awareness. Awareness of what's been holding you back. And here's the thing is the internal programming that happens with experiences. So something happens in your life and you have a thought about it, which creates your belief, which creates your identity, which creates your subconscious goal, which is always out of alignment with your conscious goal if you've created a negative belief. So what do? Now that you have awareness, when you say things like I used to say, like there's not enough time in the day, total bullshit. There's plenty of time in the day. I don't care what you've got going on. Take responsibility for the amount of time that you have. And in fact, later in very, very excited to teach you a system that allows me to manage all the crazy things that I have going on. So that'll come in another week or another few weeks. Okay. So first is awareness. What are the things that you say that hold you back? Mine, not enough time in the day. I'm too young. Not good with people, afraid of rejection. Gosh, I'm such an idiot. Understand that whatever you say about yourself makes it more true. Write that down. Whatever I say about myself makes it more true. So now that you have awareness that the meaning that you create behind experiences, the thoughts that you have about these experiences is what shapes your belief and your identity, you better say something or you better think something positive. So now it becomes a reprogramming process. When I understood that every negative thing I was saying about myself made it even more true, I had to reprogram myself. So I still would consciously, every once in a while, be like, oh, I'm such an idiot. Nope, that's a negative. So I'm an incredible genius. I'm an incredible genius. I'm an incredible genius. I'm an incredible genius. I'll tell you something that transformed me. Like when I understood the two types of math and network marketing, and we'll talk more about this, but it's growing by addition versus growing by multiplication. When I finally was like, multiplication happens when you can recruit other leaders, other powerful people, other people who are higher on the leadership scale. That's how you create duplication. And I understood that in order to recruit leaders, I had to become a leader, but I didn't feel like a leader. And everything that I was saying about myself was in contrast to an identity of a powerful leader. So I had to start saying, I am a powerful leader. In fact, here's what I said. It was like, all right, what do I need to say? Like, what is an affirmation that I need to create? I started saying, I am the leader that every other leader is looking for. I am the leader that every other leader is looking for. I am the leader that every other leader is looking for. And I'd say it over and over and over and over until I started to believe it. And see, what happens is what you say and what you think about yourself eventually starts to become true. Your subconscious starts to believe it. Your subconscious doesn't understand the difference between the truth and a lie. I'm not saying go lie to anyone else. I don't believe in fake it till you make it. You don't have to go buy nice cars, watches, say you're making more. That's all BS. But what I am is like the fake it till you make it is an internal thing. I said to myself, I'm a millionaire 1,000 times, more than 1,000 times before I actually created it. See, if I look at the things that I had to do in order to be a millionaire, not that hard. The hardest part by far was believing that it could actually happen to me. So understand this, man, woman, like we don't attract what we want. We attract what we are. And most people's identity, it's become so strong and so defined that it's actually reversed the roles. And your identity is pulling the strings on the master. Your identity is pulling your strings. So you got to pin down your identity and you need to define exactly who it is and what it's capable of, and then figure out what you really want to achieve in life. And like, is my identity that I've been living with, is it cut out for the job? If not, you need to like create a new identity that will allow you to achieve it with ease. So here's the thing, your identity, I'm not saying it's easy, but your identity is changeable. And you actually pull the strings when you take responsibility for the identity that you've created. So if you have been making $100,000 a year in network marketing and you're like, I need to make $1 million or I want to make $1 million. That's your conscious goal. But if you've been stuck and you've been plateaued for a while, the reason why you haven't been able to break through is that conscious goal is not in alignment with your subconscious goal, which is created by your identity. So success is attracted to the person that you are. So if you want to achieve a 7-figure income, become a 7-figure leader, become a 7-figure person. And so this is like, how do you do that? Well, let's invent it. And that's what we're going to do, is we're going to invent an identity that will get you exactly where you want to go. And it's about creating a personal vision. And again, you know, I mentioned psychological fuel stacking. Okay. And some of this we've already gotten into a little bit. So, you know, I introduced our daily power rituals. Okay. And so there's been 2. Okay. There's the gratitude stack. And so you guys know what the gratitude stack is. You're spending 5 minutes a day. You're writing down 5 things. You're soaking it in and you're giving it out. You're like sending a message to someone. And here's what's cool. Lots of like crazy, amazing stories already. Like some of you have only been doing it for a week. And in a week, your relationship has gotten better. Your life has gotten better. Your team is loving you more because you've been giving away the gratitude. People aren't used to being told how amazing they are. People aren't really used to being told how grateful someone is for them. And the fact that some of you have been actually doing the work, you've been reaping the rewards, and it feels amazing. The other thing that gratitude does is it creates a level of happiness. See, there's a formula to happiness, and gratitude is one of the formulas for happiness. See, you have to do happiness, and the gratitude stack is part of how you do happiness. Now, there's also the learning stack, which is 10 pages a day. And so here's how the learning stack works is you read 10 pages a day, or you listen to 30 minutes of an audio, and you actually write down your biggest learnings. Okay, so today in my learning, yesterday, I wrote down my biggest learning. Today, I wrote down my biggest learning. And it was like some good stuff that I'm actually going to train on. I need to figure out a way to kind of make it my own, because the way it was written is a little not my style, if you will. So, but I can take some of this and I can make it my own. I can apply it for myself and I can teach it to others. Okay, so that's the learning stack. So you have the gratitude stack, you have the learning stack, and what I'm introducing you to now is the identity stack. And there's going to be a handful of different things as we go week to week. But I wanted to do kind of a deep dive. Like, I want you to really get this. I want you to write these down. I want you to commit this to memory. I want you to know this so that, number one, you get it for yourself, but number two, you get it for others. And see, this is where leadership comes into place. Like, I felt like I wasn't a very good leader for the longest time because I finally wired my identity right, because I learned it, but I wasn't really teaching it, and I didn't really understand how to teach it. No one drew it out for me like this. I just kind of like read it in a book, and I started doing affirmations and things like that. So I got it, and I had a level of unconscious competence. So I was competent. I could go sponsor a lot of people, and I could create duplication, but I wasn't producing other full-time leaders. Like, I was full-time, but I couldn't produce any other full-time leaders. And so they would come to me, and it's like, I would always go tactical. Like, what are you doing with your invite? How are you closing? How are you structuring your meeting? And I would go tactics. And they'd go out, apply the tactics, and have marginal results at best. And I felt like a lousy leader. And I finally got, this is the key. Like, this is where the juice is. This is like one of the biggest strategies to grow leadership is having people rewire themselves. And when I finally got this down, I started producing leaders. Suddenly it was like, I actually knew how to mentor people. And this is what I want you guys to get, is like knowing how to mentor people. And in order to teach it at the highest levels, you need to become it. Okay. See, power in leadership happens when you are your message. See, I am so confident in this stuff because I know I am my message. I've actually done the work. And because I've done the work, I'm confident in teaching the work. And so I want you to actually do the work. And so let's talk about the identity stack. And this is a specific framework for building you into the person who naturally attracts success. Okay. And again, success happens, like, things get dialed in when you are the message. When you show up with a powerful identity, like, you show up powerfully people are just attracted to it. I had a message from someone the other day, and like it meant the world to me. In fact, they're on tonight. I appreciate it. I won't say your name because I don't want to embarrass you, but they sent me a message, and it was like in their gratitude stack, and it was how essentially attractive it was, and like I appreciate that, and it's by design. Like the things that people say about me, I've manifested because I intentionally created it. So we're going to intentionally create an incredibly powerful identity for you that will make you unstoppable, that will make you one of the best in the world in network marketing if you'll actually do the work. So what we're going to do is we're going to create your personal vision. We're going to create your future identity. So this is your assignment, and I'm going to read you mine. In fact, this is something that, I've had this for years. I continually change it. It's not like you create it one time and you have it forever. It will change. It will alter over time as your life, develops. Things change. But this is what I created. Okay, Matt Morris. And again, this is not me reading it to anyone else. This is me reading it to myself. Because every time I read this to myself, it gets ingrained into my psychology. It gets ingrained into my identity. It gets ingrained into my subconscious mind. Okay, so I speak it, and you're going to write it as if it's already true. See, what happens is this is programming. Every time you read your vision statement, which part of your daily ritual now, you have a third daily ritual, it's reading your vision statement. So you're going to create it as if it's already true, write it in the present tense. And this is internal programming. Your internal programming is what creates your beliefs. Your beliefs create your identity, which produce positive feelings, positive actions, and the success that you desire. It is a simple framework that works if you work it. So here it is. Matt Morris is one of the most iconic, trusted, and legendary figures in the network marketing profession. Having gone from homelessness to building one of the largest organizations in the history of network marketing, he's inspired millions of people to live up to their highest potential. As an activist for human potential, Matt's transformational leadership has helped create hundreds of $1 million per year earners and thousands of six-figure earners. Not only has he created extreme wealth for his students, many of them have also become legendary figures themselves. Matt is a consummate learner, always studying and growing. This practice, along with his fierce work ethic, competitive drive, and undeniable business ethics, have allowed him to build the largest and most transformational coaching company in the network marketing profession. Matt achieved success while staying spiritually aligned, at peace, overjoyed with happiness, and continually inspired to transform lives. Matt is known for his ability to infect others with his joyfulness and passion. He keeps his body in ideal shape as a peak performance athlete, maintaining perfect health and a ripped, muscular body, feeling boundless levels of energy and passion. The pinnacle of his success is the incredible love he shares with his family. He and his children enjoy a profound love and connection. Matt and his wife share an undying loyalty towards each other as best friends and passionate lovers. Matt's investments pay him millions per year, and he and his family live in a 10,000 square foot dream home on Lake Travis. He flies in his private jet or his helicopter between his oceanfront home in Florida, his mountain home in Colorado, and his 5,000-acre ranch in East Texas. Several times a year, he and his family cruise their 150-foot yacht throughout the world. So this is the Matt Morris identity. This is what I read to myself every morning. Why? To program myself into that future identity. Okay, so this is not something that I had 5 years ago. As I've grown, like I didn't have one of the most iconic, trusted, and legendary figures. Like, years ago, it was getting to $1 million a year. It was being able to take vacations whenever I wanted. Like it was things like that. So this is not meant to copy mine. In one of the biggest mistakes that I see leaders making is thinking they need to be like someone else. My mentor is nothing like me. He was, when I met him, the best network marketer I had ever seen. And I thought I needed to be like him. And as long as I tried to be like him, I was never powerful. When I finally decided that I was good enough and I needed to create the ultimate version of me, that's when I stepped into my power. So this is not you being like me or anyone else. This is being you. Like, what is the vision for your life that you actually want to create? And here's your assignment. I want you to go outside. I got so many positive comments on the walk that you guys did. The walk where you wrote down the questions. What happens is when you go outside and you connect with nature, no phone, bring your journal with you, and you disconnect from the world. You disconnect from the world so that you can connect with yourself. See, the natural world, when you're out, it expands your thought. And when you're writing your vision, understand this, your job is not to figure out how to get there. I actually kind of have figured it out because I read this every day. But when you're writing it, your job's not to figure out how to get there. It's not to be like, oh, that's unrealistic, I don't know how to do it. Okay. This is about creating a vision that inspires you. So, and this is not about getting bogged down in the details. So many people lose their ability to dream about something great because they spend so much time worrying about how they're going to get there. And so the how will come, but only after the vision is set. Okay. So you're going to go outside, you're going to go to a park, you're going to go to a forest, you're going to connect with nature, you're going to leave your phone, not your computer, and you're going to write it down. And you're going to write, and you're going to write, and you're going to write. Now I'm going to give you a framework for creating it. Okay. What do you want each category of your life to look like? Something I'm going to introduce you to in future weeks is what I call the 8 F's. These are the 8 different categories of life. So write these down. Number 1 is your faith. Okay. Maybe this is your connection with God, your spiritual alignment, your level of peace that you have in your life, your being free of overwhelm. Okay. In fact, I usually tend to look at the positive. Instead of saying, I'm not stressed, it'd be better to say, I live in peace. Okay. So you want to avoid negatives in your vision statement. Okay. So number 1 is your faith. Number 2 is your family and relationships. Okay. Your relationship with your children, your relationship with your wife, your spouse, your future spouse. Okay. You may not have a significant other in your life. Write it as if you have one. Okay. So notice in mine, I talked about faith, peacefulness. I talked about family and relationships. Number 3 is your field. Okay. Is your career, your business. Okay. What do you want that to look like? Who do you want to be as it relates to your field? Number 4 is your finances. What kind of money do you want to make? What kind of investments do you want to have? Number 5 is your fitness. Okay. What do you want your health to be like? What do you want your body to look like? What kind of energy do you want to have? Okay. Number 6, you can include friends and social. Okay. That's not something that I have much in mind. Okay. Maybe it's something that I'll get more motivated. Maybe it's something that I'll add, but it's a category of life, your social life. You know, it might be, I guess, you could consider cruising around in a 150-foot yacht. Maybe that's social, right? Number 7 is fuel for your mind. Okay. That is a category that is hugely important to me. Growth is one of the 6 human needs, and it is one of my biggest drivers. And so, you know, I put in there, Matt is a consummate learner, always studying and growing. Okay. So that's in there. Okay. So fuel for your mind. And then number 8 is fun. So what are you doing that's exciting and fun? Okay. Cruising around in a private jet and a helicopter, for me, that's fun. Okay. So these are the different categories that you can consider when you're writing your vision statement. Now, I'll tell you, this is something that I believe in so much. We've actually created, some of you know, we're like altering my personal brand from Morris Training Systems into Network Marketer. And so we've actually created a Network Marketer vision document. We're actually still working on the graphics for it, but it's fully written. And this is a 3-year vision. So I look 3 years out. What do I want Network Marketer to look like? And I've got a snapshot where, you know, I read this on a regular basis. Okay. We've assembled the most talented experts and thought leaders in network marketing to provide the most impactful training and coaching programs in the industry. We've created a movement empowering network marketers to achieve financial freedom, build world-class organizations, and transform lives in a meaningful way. Here's how. And I've got values. I talk about the culture. So I've created a vision for the culture within Network Marketer, not just corporately, but how we interact with our students. It goes through the team. A lot of the team members, we don't even have on board a product development manager, a director of community, an affiliate manager, a chief transformation officer. Like I don't even have all these, but I have it written as if I already have these roles in place. I spent over $6,000 just having a company help guide me through the process of creating the vision for the company. Okay. Our transformational business model, talking about the different products that we offer and the coaching programs that we offer and the transformational model, what our company looks like from a sales and marketing standpoint, how our customers look at us, community involvement, financials. Like, this is an important thing, because in creating a business, like, I've got to have a very solid and very defined vision for the company. Now, this is something taught in the business world. So if you go to I've been through so many different corporate coaching programs, running a bunch of different companies, it's very common to create a company vision. It's not common, unfortunately, to create a personal vision. Like, if you go to most major companies out there, most of the Fortune 500 companies, they have a very clear and defined vision for where their company is headed. Most network marketers have no clearly defined vision for who they are in the life that they want to live as a person. And it's no wonder why so many fail. So this is about you saying, I'm actually going to be a real entrepreneur. I'm going to create a vision for my network marketing business, for my and your network marketing business is in alignment with your personal vision. So this is creating your personal identity through creating this vision document. So your assignment, write this down. Number 1, create your personal vision. You're going to read it every day. Every morning, you're going to read it. So you have 3 daily power rituals. Number 1 is your gratitude stack. Number 2 is your learning stack. And number 3 is your identity stack, where you will read your vision. And what happens is we're going to have a handful of these identity stacks that we'll go through in future weeks. They're going to forge an incredibly powerful vision for your life, an incredibly powerful identity that, again, will make you unstoppable. Okay, so that's your assignment. Next, you're going to meet with your accountability group. In your accountability group, you're going to talk about the following. Number 1 is your biggest takeaway from this training. So share your learnings, share your ahas. What was powerful for you? See, there will be things that you got from this training that other people didn't get. And when you share what you got from it, they will have powerful ahas. And when you share your ahas, they share theirs, and you'll get powerful ahas from what they share. See, part of the power of this is the accountability groups. So my friends, number 5 in the rules was support your brothers and sisters. Understand, here's my intention. My intention with the inner circle is creating the future thought leaders of the network marketing profession. These are your brothers and sisters in that vision. Okay. So when you meet with your accountability group, you're going to give your biggest takeaways and your ahas. You're going to read your personal vision and tell the group how it makes you feel. And then finally, whatever else that serves the group. And I said it on the before, but with the accountability groups, we provide the direction, you own the process. So whatever it is from an accountability standpoint and a sharing standpoint, you own it. Okay. So if you guys want to hold each other accountable for the number of calls that you make, or sponsoring new people, gathering customers, whatever you guys decide as a group, this is your prerogative. This is your, you own it. Okay. Finally, tune in Thursday for our transformation in our Q&A call, and tune in next week. Next week, we are going to get into the social recruiting system. We are going to go more into the inner game as well, but we will dive deep into the social recruiting system, which I know many of you are very, very excited about. And so listen, we've gone about 90 minutes here. Thank you so much for your participation. Thank you for sharing in the group. Thank you for being active in the community, in the workplace here. And listen, I am so excited about the journey that you guys are on. We'll see you on the next call. See you guys Thursday.